horror movie that came out in Sundance last year, but it actually got a limited theater release in the USA in February of this year. And I am just now getting around to talking about it. This film is directed by Veronica, and it's directed by Severin Fiala, I think is her name. Ladies, I get everybody's name wrong on this channel. Just welcome to the club. That's the way it is. I think I got their names right, except for Veronica. Sorry. Film stars Riley Keough, Richard Armitage, Alicia Silverstone. You might remember her as Batgirl from back in the day. Wow, that was a long time ago. Best way to set up this plot without spoilers is that there's a very tragic event that happens in the very beginning of the film to a woman, the mother of these two kids. And so a few months later, the ex-husband decides, hey, let's get the kids out of here. Let's go to this cabin out in the middle of the woods that I own and let's enjoy our Christmas there. He wants his fiance to come along, played by Riley Keough, so that she can get to know the kids, so that the kids can get to know her. You know, one big happy family, Christmas, Kumbaya, Hanukkah, you know, all that good shit. Drops them off at this cabin, and then because of work-related reasons, he has to leave for a few days. So he leaves her with these kids in this cabin in the cold, in the middle of nowhere, basically, while he goes off to handle his business. And while this woman and these two kids are at this house, there's a bunch of strange shit that starts happening. Unexplainable shit. Stuff is going down inside this house, and now it's kind of like a, you know, a home survival movie type of thing. Full disclosure, I don't know if I've said this on this channel before, but I don't really go into horror movies and expect to be scared anymore. Like, that's just not one of my expectations. Some people go to horror movies and they like slasher movies, they like jump scares, they like the legitimate creepy stuff. Like, a lot of that stuff doesn't really scare me or bother me anymore. When I go into a horror movie, I look for atmosphere, I look for how well it's filmed, I look for a good story, I look for something that's more like it gets under my skin, you know, it makes me uncomfortable. Psychological shit that stays in your head for hours on end, like those are the type of horror movies I like. I don't really see a lot of scary horror movies that have me up late at night, just walking past the lights and I turn the lights off to go to bed and then my brain goes, what the hell are you doing? You better turn that goddamn light back on. What you doing? Bitch, I will stay up all night with you. I ain't playing with you. It's been a while since I've seen one of those type of movies, and I will describe this movie as being more of like an art house horror type of movie. You know, the anti-art house crowd immediately gets turned off by that. I will say that this movie does have some legitimately good atmosphere and tension that is built up through the direction, through the cinematography, the music, the lighting, all of that stuff. I will praise the cinematography and the visuals for this movie. It's a gorgeous looking movie. It's very dark, very muted in terms of its color scheme, blues, grays, you know, anything to create that feeling of dread, that feeling of death. Slow pull of the cameras, the way that this movie tries to build tension within scenes where you don't really know what's going to happen until the scene is over. These directors did a really good job at building that. It reminded me a little bit of Ari Aster in terms of the art house style that these filmmakers decided to go with. Across the board, I really appreciated everybody, but Riley Keough, she was the standout in this movie for sure. She's not really even over the top in a way where you're kind of like, damn, like she's giving it her all. She's really just, she's giving a good performance, and it's more about the quieter moments with her. I really like and appreciate the setup to her character, because for like the first 20 to 25 minutes of this movie, you don't even see her. Like, she's not on screen. All you know about her is what other characters are talking about her, what they've said about her. This adds a layer of intrigue when you finally do get to meet her, because you don't really know what to think about this chick, because you haven't seen her on screen for the first 20-25 minutes of the movie, and yet she's a constant presence. She's constantly talked about by the other characters. So it just, I don't know, it kind of added a layer of ambiguity to her character that I appreciated. It's all about tension, it's all about suspense, it's all about, you know, the unspoken stuff that goes on in scenes, it's all about the camera work. This movie does excel at creating atmosphere. I can't really say that they don't. So that's one area definitely that's like the highlight of the whole movie. Unfortunately, atmosphere in filmmaking can only take you so far when it comes to me, and I'll be honest, I was actually really bored by this movie. Like, bored to the point that I actually stopped watching it to go wash my clothes. An hour into this movie, I was just sitting there like, okay, we're probably getting close to the end, probably about 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes or so left in this movie. And I looked at the runtime and I was just like, holy shit, there's like 45 minutes left in this movie. I have to sit here for another hour of this? You know what? Nope. My clothes need to be washed. So this movie, yeah, I'll be back. See you later. I would say that this movie's pacing really suffers and drags in quite a bit of scenes in this movie. I would also say that a large portion of this movie is all about setup. It's all about setup, it's building, it's building, it's building, and I'll be honest, the payoff at the end of the movie or towards the end of the movie isn't really worth sitting through this movie for almost 2 hours, which actually feels like 3 hours because of the pacing. One of those movies that has a couple of twists that I can tell are going to divide the hell out of anybody that watches this movie. To be honest, I think that the more you think about the twists, the more you can kind of poke holes in this narrative. Like there's a bunch of things that are kind of unexplained, or you feel like maybe if you ask a few questions, like the whole story kind of falls apart. An hour into the movie, I just found it very difficult to care about anybody. The character work is very thin here. There's really nothing going on that really engages the agency of these characters. And the main chick, like she's fine, like she gets enough development for what the movie needs from her. But even then, you feel like there's a couple of opportunities where they could have gone further, but they didn't. Also some imagery in the movie that feels like it was ripped off of Hereditary in terms of dollhouses and miniatures and stuff, and I'll be honest, I think that didn't really add anything to the movie either. Overall, this is a well-made movie, but kind of meh in terms of a watch. I'm gonna leave this one in the Fortress of Solitude. Guys, those are my thoughts on The Lodge. Tell me, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Give me your thoughts on this movie in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.